All right, guys, welcome to Aussies taking over the NBA, our Big Ben Bolden Philly edition. We are up to episode 30 now. We've made it this far, which is good. Thank you all for listening. Don't forget to find us on Twitter, NBA Takeover, YouTube, Aussies taking over the NBA, same as iTunes and Podcast Addict. We're on SoundCloud. You can catch all the season previews there of all the teams the Aussies are in. And this is our last big crescendo in terms of player profiles up before the season starts. This is Big Ben Simmons, our number one draft pick 3 seasons ago now.
Yeah, don't forget Jonah Bolden too.
Jonah Bolden, yes, he has got his contract. He is playing for Philly, and we'll go pretty in depth.
And don't forget, on the King's Dime, we're doing a Sydney Kings podcast for the NBL in Australia. So if you're into the NBL and the Sydney Kings, check that out at On the King's Dime. That's only on YouTube at the moment. So
iTunes.
And iTunes. So you should be able to find that there if you're into the NBL.
Indeed. So we've got a couple of podcasts coming up as well. We're going to do over-unders, which is going to be a pretty long one, just discussing where everything's going to be at this season.
Yep.
And training camp starts very, very soon. If not, it's already started, I think.
Yeah, they've done media day and stuff. So
media day. So it's we're getting down to that time again. So we'll go back to last year, sorry.
Back to next year, back to the future.
Back to the future. Philly, well, they hit the run of the century going into the playoffs. They finished at 52-30, but they had a 21 run, I think.
21 and
minus
1?
4, 17 run.
Yeah.
Going into the playoffs, and then obviously they had 3 in the postseason.
Yeah.
But great year.
Yeah.
This is the culmination of the process. This is where all that great tanking has gotten them. It's gotten them picks. It's gotten them, Embiid, who is probably the center in the competition at the moment. And he's just signed his max extend with Philly. It was an exciting year to watch Ben Simmons find out who he really was, and if he could make it in the NBA. And by all accounts, he's very much there and not going anywhere. So we had a average points per game, about 110. They hit 7th in the league for that. Opposition points, 11th. Pace 4th, defensive rating 4th, offensive rating 12th. So for where they kind of made it to, it was really down the back end on some pretty amazing plays and really guys that hadn't found their feet in the team really doing well, like Covington making all defensive, Saric finding out that he is a premier power forward who can shoot the ball and bang down low. Simmons, just getting to the rim at will. McConnell really stepping up this season. And some other guys. Justin Anderson, obviously, he's been traded now to the Hawks. Sean Holmes, who's been traded as well. These are guys that, played their part last year. And Amir Johnson was the backup center who did very well in the absence of Joel Embiid for most of that big run that they put together. They lost to the Celtics in the Eastern Conference semis, 4-1. But that was really very well coached by the Celtics. Very well played, very well executed. Really limiting Simmons' game, limiting Joel Embiid banging with Baines as a bigger body potentially. And Horford is a very smart defensive center. So we come to this season, and Ben Simmons in his second year after winning Rookie of the Year.
Yep.
He's not a rookie; he's the rookie, as he so bluntly puts it. But so he's going to second year. Obviously, we're going to really go in depth, but I think all the media, has he developed a jump shot, and we'll go pretty much in depth. But the big one is Bolden has signed a contract, 3 years. And we get a little bit into Jonah Bolden. He was a draft and stash, born in Melbourne, and son of the NBL great Bruce Bolden, who played for the Kings and Razorbacks and won a championship and MVP with Southeast Melbourne Magic in '92. He went to Homebush Boys before moving to the US and finally in prep in Nevada in December 2013, and he played at UCLA. He was a redshirt in his freshman year at UCLA and was ruled ineligible to play in 2014-15. In 2015, he underwent arthroscopic surgery for a torn meniscus, and that sidelined him for 6 to 8 weeks. He had one single year at UCLA, but numbers across the board were pretty average. Only started in 11 games, 21 minutes, 40% from the field, 48 from two. Not great. 4.6 points per game, 4.8 rebounds, 1.1 assists. Those numbers aren't great, but for some reason, there's been a lot of hype around him. He was 36th pick in the draft.
Yeah, 36. Well done.
So I do my research.
Yeah.
So he was 36th pick in the draft. He was then stashed away to Maccabi Tel Aviv to play in the EuroLeague. He first signed with
Beograd. FMP
Beograd in the ABA League of Serbia.
Which is where he's playing in the same league as Landau, but I think he wasn't playing in Beograd. I think he was playing in a different team.
Yeah.
But same league, so there's the connections there of going into Europe and developing your game. I was watching a few of the highlights, and he did really well. He's such a solid perimeter defender, and he's got such long dimensions that he is able to come out onto guards and guard at the perimeter, which is a big plus in his versatility.
He's a versatile four. He's very good. We've banged on about this before. He has the same physical dimensions as Antetokounmpo.
Yeah.
So he's probably not as developed as what Antetokounmpo is now, but he has the same physical dimensions, the same length, same height. So
I'd look at him as, if Giannis was the on-ball version of those crazy alien dimensions, then I would say Bolden is the defensive version of those crazy alien dimensions, because Jonah Bolden, obviously, he can put the ball on the floor and he can, catch and shoot. But defensively, I noticed watching a few of the highlights leading up to doing some research on this, his IQ, man, and his ability to get in his hands in the lanes and his ability to just space the floor and recover, block, and scramble, it wouldn't have shown up in those stats because his college, I looked through his college stats there, I wrote, these numbers were pretty awful, but things that things that are scouted won't necessarily come out on a stat sheet. And obviously, it was the high IQ, his ability to alter shots and block shots at the same time is a massive thing. Obviously, those crazy dimensions help that. But he, especially in Europe, where they don't have those really crazy big guys, they have more of your 6'7", your 6'7", 6'8", and
your centers almost.
Well, they're your power forwards, but they're more sort of lanky and less about long dimensions. And even if he does develop his attacking game, where even if he's just spotting up in the corner, or even if he's taking sort of late shot clock jumpers or something like that, obviously he doesn't finish that well around the rim. And I think the summer league sort of showed a little bit of his flaws.
He's not ready. He was played as a 5 in the summer league, which he's not a 5. He's got no real rim finishing ability at this stage in his career, and he's not he can't bang down low. He's got a lot of post moves. He's really played that stretch 4. Yeah. Same as Thon, really. Same as Thon, shot blocking ability, defensive capabilities, really long, lean, and he can shoot the ball.
Modern defensive 4. He's not a versatile down low. He doesn't have an array of moves, but at the same time, defensively, I think what's going to keep him on the floor this season for Philly is that ability to come out to the perimeter and defend, as well as keep his length and his dimensions out and really disrupt in the lane, because a lot of teams, I think, are going to try and exploit Embiid like that. And then if he comes into a lineup that Embiid comes out of, they're going to try and be probing and looking in certain ways to find holes in the defense. But I think he's going to stand up and really use his length and his dimensions well.
He's got Parsons and Saric obviously did take minutes off, both who are
Parsons?
Chandler Parsons.
Oh, Wilson Chandler.
Wilson Chandler.
I even got it wrong. Tyson Chandler. Yeah.
He's gonna, he's taking minutes away from Saric and Wilson Chandler.
Yeah.
Which may be a big ask.
Role,
in that area. So it may be a big ask this season. I think probably for some of the road games where Embiid potentially doesn't go on and Chandler moves into that
get minutes.
5. Yeah, he's definitely going to get minutes this season. I think there's
maybe only 5 or 6 to start out with, but I think he can play himself onto that roster. Into the rotation, like a bench rotation. Just from his defense alone, I think
he's got to be a 3-and-D player. He's got to be like a Covington style 3-and-D player. They've got 2 guys that can bang and score in the paint, and Saric as well. They don't really need that. They need that 3-and-D player who long defensive, like with Covington on the floor, with him on the floor at the 4, and Embiid at the 5. That's a very long defensive,
disruptive,
and very and you forget Simmons is 6'10" and can defend everyone pretty much. So very, very big prospect. He didn't pull it off in the summer league, but again, the summer league is so disjointed and just dudes playing in ISO.
Yeah,
playing at the 5 was really not his style. But I have a lot of faith that he can potentially work a little bit harder. And get more out of being in the NBA presence than in Europe. I think there's probably only so high your game can go in Europe. But before even starting up after the year at where was it?
Beograd. And then went to Tel Aviv after the Maccabi Tel Aviv after that.
Well, he signed a 2-year contract with Kresvena. Zvezda. And then
Zvezda.
Yeah. So one of those crazy European names that can't be pronounced by white people or Australian white people. He signed a 3-year contract with Maccabi Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
And that was the pick and stash from the 76ers to go and grow a bit more and do a bit more. He played well.
Yeah.
Season high 23 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, and he helped Maccabi to win the 2017 Israeli League Cup and the 2018 Israeli League Cup. So this is why they've brought him back. Obviously, with the Brett Brown connection, is that Brett Brown coached his dad back in the NBL and the Australian team, and so that's that connection there. Same as Ben Simmons. And obviously the dimensions in his defense. Brett Brown's a defensive coach, and they'll be looking to even up their defense this year. I think on the back of the Celtics series, really trying to get that up a little bit higher. But summer league was very poor, and he was pretty disappointed as well.
Yeah, and I think that's important too, that he was able to acknowledge that as well. Like even he said in some of the interviews, like I wasn't up to standard.
But he wasn't playing the right position. He wasn't playing with guys that are looking to use him and utilize his skills. He's playing in a very ISO one-on-one, same as Jock. Like you look at some of the Emmett Nar, Jock, Landau, Vision, and it was very, very together. It was searching for one another. It was, cohesive. There was nothing cohesive about Philly in the and they were ranked like 30th. They were seeded 30th. Somehow they won a few games and made it a little bit higher. I think it was the Korkmaz 40 that really did anything. The one and done 40. But yeah, he averaged 6.5 points per game, 6 rebounds. A block.
35% from the field is not.
Yeah, and 47% from the line. So not great.
A lot of turnovers, and it was a minus 40 on court.
That's pretty bad
for the entire tournament. So, look, I was looking at his numbers prior to.
They're not numbers
research.
that get me excited about a player, but, and this is a very big but, defensively he's very strong, which you want in a depth roster rotation. He's pretty inexpensive as well when you're talking about an NBA contract.
Yep.
Same dimensions as Antetokounmpo, can shoot the 3 at somewhat moderate 30%.
Well, he's going to have to add that, I think.
Yeah, he's got to be a 3-and-D player. That's if he's not 3-and-D come season 3, he's out of the NBA. He's really got to build that 3-and-D, and that's all it is. He's not going to be that Antetokounmpo style, destroy a play around the rim kind of player. He's going to be that stretch, get space the floor, really open it up, and shoot the ball, or allow someone to cut in and take that defensive option out of the center, so Ben Simmons can cut in behind. That's really in a nutshell of why they've picked him up. It's just a prospect that could gel in their design and in their team. And Brett Brown feels he's very coachable. So obviously got the high IQ, some skill there, and enough skill to play in the NBA. So very excited. He will get minutes this year.
Yeah, that's important. I think if he can work on his defense, or work on having a defensive impact on this Philly team, I think it will help the Philly team as well. Like, it'll help their team if he's having being able to be inserted into the rotation, to guard on the perimeter as well as down low. But at the same time, he's quite an unselfish passer as well. Like, he's not
a ball hog by any means.
He doesn't want to put the ball on the floor and bang down low and try and score in the post. You're going to get a lot of that from Embiid this year. That he's the premier post player in the league. That's his game. So I think it's a perfect situation for him because their roster is so versatile that, like, obviously it's not a Utah or a Boston versatile, but they've got a lot of like little gaps there that he can fill the role, like defending in the perimeter, switching onto guys, spotting up in the corner, getting his hands in the passing lane. He's quite adept on the defensive end with his IQ, but at the same time, he's quite a good passer on the offensive end. So things that don't show up on a stat sheet, watching the footage of his European adventure, obviously shows you that he's got some ability and got some talent. Like, this isn't just an uneducated punt on a player.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's going to have a real avenue to put something into this Philly team.
Yeah.
So
we'll move on to Philly moves.
Yeah. So TJ McConnell, he opted into his player option on a 1-year, $1.6 million contract. He's an unrestricted free agent next year. So
I don't think he'll be at Philly next year, but I think that any team would be lucky to pick him up as a backup point guard option. One of the highest IQ kind of backup point guards going around, would fit in nicely anywhere, potentially at the 1 and 2. And I think he showed that in the Boston series. Like, at the big times, he can go and score 5 from 5 and get you 10 points pretty quickly, and very
good, high energy.
Yeah, high energy.
It's high impact.
Good pocket pincher.
Yeah, not like active hands. Not a dominant scorer, but at the same time, very unselfish player.
But it's Upti's scoring every year and become more efficient, which you want to see in an undrafted rookie.
Yeah. So what do you think he could get on the open market?
I reckon he's getting somewhere between 3 and 5 mil a season, potentially, like that Delhi style contract.
I think Delhi's
7 mil.
Nah, Delhi was 450, so 4 years 50.
He's not worth that. Or Delhi.
TJ?
No.
Well, Delhi's not. Yeah, there's a bit of an overpay for Delhi. 4 years 50, 4 goes into 54, 12s or 48, so about 12. About
12 and a half, yeah. No, he's probably around about the $7 million.
You reckon 7?
Yeah, 7.
So do you reckon Philly might try and pick him up?
Look, if he's got no other option, yeah. Why wouldn't you have him on for $2 or $3 million a year? He doesn't carry the same fees as other potential players. He's a good team man. They loved having him around. So I would definitely say that that's a definite option.
Yeah.
But again, it depends how Philly kind of poised themselves to make a big signing this year and then didn't. And I wonder if that's a strategic move, that they're really not going to be swayed to sign anyone big until they really see what Simmons and Fultz can do. And I think this is the first year they do that, because one of those guys is going to be that option to trade for something big, really.
Yeah.
And I'd probably say more Markelle Fultz than Ben Simmons. I think Ben Simmons is a franchise
cornerstone
player, and especially with Embiid and the season they had last year. So if Fultz is that player, and you keep TJ as your backup point, and you have Simmons in there, and you're happy with that, then you're using Fultz as your pawn to get whoever you want.
Yeah.
And that's really what it is. So it's Brett Brown's smart. Like, don't get me wrong. This process is still ongoing. He knows that it's probably not going to culminate this year. But
that's an important aspect of his coaching, and with the front office, where obviously they had Brian Colangelo, who recently got terminated, and now
Elton Brand.
Yeah, they brought in Elton Brand. The good thing about Brett Brown is he's got a long-term and a rolling vision. There's some stability there.
Yeah, he's the China of the NBA. He's got a good 5 and 10 year plan.
Yeah.
And he's got his cornerstones. He's got his pieces that are going to work in the meantime to give Philly that, that finals appearances that they hope they be. But look, Embiid's probably ready now and for the next 3 or 4 years. Simmons is probably another year away. Who knows what we're going to get out of Markelle Fultz. Covington's probably ready now, or as ready as he's ever going to be. We're probably missing someone at the 2 to give you that versatility in scoring and defense, and solid defense. I think JJ Redick's a good option, great scorer, career year last year. Got a little bit found out in the defensive side in the big moments, and when you're going up like teams against, Boston in the East, or even the Warriors, the super team that the Warriors are this coming season, you wonder if it's going to be like that. But I think the pieces of the puzzle are there. It's just waiting for guys to mature to the right time.
Yeah, they've got a lot of rookies on their books at the moment.
Well, they've still got Saric, who's still potentially rookie of the year last year in a bad pick, but he's really kind of come of age.
So they've got Fultz on a rookie deal. They've got Simmons on a rookie deal. They've got Zaire Smith. They drafted this year. He's had a foot injury, so he's going to be out for a while. And then Saric is still on a rookie contract. Furkan Korkmaz is on a rookie deal, and then Landry Shamet. And then obviously Jonah Bolden probably would have still been on a rookie deal, but he had some, the crossover from being drafted and then having to sign him using cap space. So there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots there where...
And McConnell's still on a rookie deal.
Well, he's on a minimum, and Amir Johnson's on the minimum as well. So there's 5 spots that you haven't even paid these guys yet, and they're already not top tier, but starter tier players in your franchise. So there may be a convergence in a couple of years where some of these guys might need to be jettisoned.
Yes.
But at the same time, depending on how these guys develop, they've probably got 3 or 4 more years where they've got the roster versatility to sign people on 1-year deals, or to move guys around, to throw. They've really got to wait.
Yeah, they've really got to wait once Ben Simmons hits max contract extend, which he will, and they will pay it
for sure.
And you've got 1 year left on Fultz and potentially 1 year left on Saric with an option. You're getting to that point now. The Bayless contract comes out of date this year, which is $8 million worth of nothing. You're probably not going to re-sign Amir Johnson. You're probably not going to sign Wilson Chandler. That's almost $28 million worth of cap space right there. They've still got draft picks.
Yeah.
And so you're potentially, pawning off Fultz for a big player, and there's your cap space for that, and that's your year that you're going to run to the finals and really push for the win. But again, it's the process. We don't know exactly what it's been through, but this year they had shit ton of picks in the draft. It was almost a Philly-a-thon. And
it was crazy how many picks they had. So they drafted Mikal Bridges, and what a kick in the guts.
That was potentially the soul-destroying part of the draft. He was so happy. His mum worked for the Philly, and then they fucking traded him to Phoenix for Zaire Smith.
And then Zaire Smith.
And then Zaire Smith, it turns out, fucking foot injury, like Embiid, like Simmons.
Yeah.
So it's the curse of the rookie. He didn't really look all that good to me in the summer league, but again, I thought I would have seen more kind of ISO out of him as that kind of 1-2 point guard option.
Yeah.
But not great. But they get a 2021 pick out of that Mikal Bridges deal.
Yeah.
Landry Shamet, 26.
Yeah, so drafted at 26. He's a shooting guard, 6'5", pretty versatile. Bit lanky, a little bit sort of under athletic, but at the same time can shoot. I think it's going to be important that with Ben Simmons running a lot of the responsibilities on the ball, you're going to have to be in the corner, like JJ Redick coming off a screen, or you're going to have to set screens for Redick, and you're going to have to set screens for Shamet and Covington. You're not overly reliant on shot creation as an individual in this team, and that's where I would have liked to have seen them try and draft one of the bigger sort of guards that were in the draft, like the bigger, thicker type of guards that were good at screening, because JJ Redick loves that curl out of the corner, and that's his shot. Like, it's the Kyle Korver run out of the corner, turn and hit a three, and you want JJ Redick shooting 6 or 7 of those a night, and you're going to have a good night type of thing. The other thing about Shamet is he can get to the rim too, which is important. I was watching some Markel Fultz, and he looked like he's really solid attacking the basket.
Yeah.
Which is going to be important as well, because if you're playing with Ben Simmons, if he gives you the ball and you've got a window to put the ball on the floor and get to the hoop, then there's going to be a lot of space with Embiid and Simmons on the court, making things happen for you. And then Kyrie Thomas was drafted at 38 and he was traded to Detroit for 2 future second rounders. Isaac Bonga at 39 traded to the Lakers. Ray Spalding traded to Dallas for Shake Milton in a deal with Kostas Antetokounmpo, who was drafted at 60 and was included in that Ray Spalding deal for Shake Milton. So that's like, how many more picks have they got left?
This was their big second round pick year, but I think they got another 3 or 4, 5 second round picks next year.
Yeah,
because they have 2 of their own.
Yeah.
And then 3 off trades, and I think they've got a first round pick 2021.
Yeah, that's crazy. There's so many picks, man.
Yeah, they tanked well and they traded well, and this is what they get out of it. They get to look at a few guys in a few draft years to really pick the players that they want. But a couple of the big ones is Wilson Chandler traded from Denver to Dallas for a 2022 second round pick in cash.
From Denver to Philly.
It's from Denver to Philly,
not Dallas. I wrote that down wrong. I'm letting the team down here on my research.
You are indeed. One year, $12 million. Was he a good pick? Don't know. I think with Jonah Bolden at power forward, he's long, and I think this goes into if you're playing essentially Covington at the 2, Fultz at the 2, you're getting into guys that are quite long, and you've got quite a long defensive line. It goes along that. 31 years old.
Yeah, veteranish. I think this team does need a couple of older heads. Losing Ilya Sova, obviously going on to Illy going to the Bucks. That's a big sort of loss for them. I think underrated, versatile, good screener, good at setting screens, good at getting to the basket, and can spot up in the corner and hit a 3, or come off a pick and pop and hit a 3. So that's going to be a big thing for Wilson Chandler to have to fit into this team. I think he can do it.
Could be a Trevor Booker, though, where they're just this dude ain't working, get rid of him.
Well, the good thing is it's a 1 year, $12 million deal, so there's not. They're not really.
It's a piece. I mean, I don't think they were quite prepared for Butler to come up this year.
No,
and that's really where this and Muscala kind of get into it. Is that they could have had 2 more rookies on their books. I think Justin Anderson's a big loss, to be completely honest with you. That dude at times looked absolutely phenomenal. Obviously, he's injured. But at times looked very, very, very good. Defended Wade, defended Dragic, and defended a lot of the Celtics very well. Big body, thick, can shoot the 3, good 3-and-D player, can drive to the rim as well and post up. I think big loss, but again, pawn in the game.
So he was part of a 3-team trade, which was Luwalu Cabarrot as well.
TLC.
Going to OKC with Schroeder, and then Carmelo bought out at Atlanta, which meant Mike Muscala came to Philly.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on Mr. Mike Muscala?
Probably not the piece of the puzzle that's going to, win you a title, but again, a player that can, a bit of a journeyman that can add something to the team at times, or be a bit of injury cover. I think.
So
yeah.
I think having the array of power forwards that they had last year, like Ilyasova, Saric, and then even Bellinelli playing small forward, it felt like there was a much better mix of players. Like, kind of feels a little bit like they've whiffed by letting those guys go. Obviously, it's not entirely under their control who leaves in free agency and stuff like that. But it feels like they pulled the trigger on Muscala maybe a little bit early, and then they've kind of been left now having to scramble a little bit with the Kawhi. Like, it kind of looked like they were trying to go for either LeBron or Kawhi, and then Kawhi ended up.
Well, it turns out that Philly was the only other team LeBron met with.
Yeah,
I think that was out of respect for Simmons because they obviously got the same agent now and quite good friends apparently.
But at the same time, like we said earlier, Brett Brown has a long-term vision.
Yeah,
it's not just a coach scrambling for some purchase with his roster. So maybe this year you get to see a little bit more Mike Muscala. And
I think this year the plan for this year is to go deep to the conference finals. That's the plan is if you get to the big one, then you're doing better. But it's to go one better this year. That's the plan. I think that with this roster with Simmons and Fultz, they will get there. I just think if they have some injuries in certain positions, they're going to be struggling to fill that with what they've got.
Yeah.
Especially on a team which is very fast. Like Embiid is quick. He's powerful. Simmons is ridiculously quick for 6'10". JJ Redick's quick for an old guy. They're a quick team and they can move the ball very quickly. And what they've brought, like Mike Muscala, they're not quick. They're not quick players. So again, if one goes down, what do you have then? Same with Bolden. Bolden's not got a lot of speed, but again, that's something he can work on. I think they've got a very, very good solid center roster. I think Amir Johnson's a fantastic backup. Can't really score the ball, but very aggressive on the offensive boards and a good defender. I think where they're really kind of lacking is the 3 and the 4 if one goes down. I don't think that they have the...
Like, there's no versatility there. There's no in and out. There's no
forward you can't push any of those 2s to 3 or 4.
No,
realistically.
Some of those some of those forwards can't fill in as guards either.
No.
I would have thought the main thing that they needed to fix on that from last year's roster was that JJ Redick defensive issue where he's undersized. Yep. I mean, that's not a slide on Redick. He's obviously a great veteran player and he had a fantastic year last year, but that's an obvious line in the sand where, right, we needed 2 who's 6'8", 6'9", and can shoot the ball quite well and just come in a larger lineup to defend where we could bring Redick out. I think
that's what they're hoping Fultz will be. I think that they're hoping he'll be that shot creator. Although he can drive to the rim, he can shoot the ball. He's 6'6", 6'9" wingspan.
That's fair
he's
enough.
Quite long.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what they're hoping to be. And TJ can be that kind of in between who gives you quick, fast minutes that are high tempo.
And that's where Mikal Bridges would have fit this team.
Fucking yes.
That was a weird
it was a
thing,
weird trade. I don't like it. But I think it was for another pick, potentially another year. And by all accounts, they scouted Zaire Smith as quite a good player. But that's
a bit of a shame. So Rashawn Holmes, he left for Phoenix. What about Holmes? He was also another sort of a smaller power forward that could play 3 and 4 a little bit.
Could play a bit of 5 as well.
Yeah.
I think probably defensively at the 5 struggling, but very good finisher around the rim. Always got in the right positions. Him and McConnell played very well together. I think as a cheap player, he would have added more to the team. He's been around the process for a few years, so that's I think a bit of a loss in that sense because some of the guys are coming to the process, and you got to buy in as well. I think the big one that we couldn't have ever kept, but I think Illy was. I think he deserved the money he got at the Bucks. He's a fantastic player.
Yeah. I think it was 2 years, $11 million. I think that he got, so it was 22 all up. 2 years. I don't think Philly could pay him that much.
No, they couldn't.
It's a shame though, because I think sneaky underrated. I think he was somebody that was a real glue at the 4 and 5 that really sort of would have made that team
could have
tick
played
again.
anything. Could have played the 3, 4, or 5. You know what I mean? So Yeah, a bit disappointed. Bellinelli obviously as well is a disappointing loss, but I think he obviously goes to bolster San Antonio and 12 million for that play. I think 12 million with his lack of defense would have been in not fitting in right for Philly. So I think they were happy with that to go.
Yeah, I think high upside to giving away too much on the defensive end.
Yes.
Where I think some of these other guys coming in, Bolden and maybe Isaiah Smith, obviously he's injured, Wilson Chandler, where I think that's where flipping Bellinelli for a little bit more defense felt like probably the right idea.
They felt like they could score the ball well enough without him. I just think he leaves that kind of clutch player that can shoot from anywhere and who's a bit taller than JJ Redick and potentially play that too at a bit taller. That's my thought. But again, you can't have everyone. I think TLC was a guy that showed flashes, but obviously were just used as a bit of a trade pawn. For my mind, the loss of the year is Justin Anderson.
Yep.
I reckon he was something is going to get really, a lot better and become a high caliber NBA player. Just his court IQ and his defensive presence alone. But again, I think they had to get rid of a couple of guys that potentially on those contracts that were coming to fruition, and they wouldn't be able to keep much longer. But yeah, Mike Muscala's a weird one.
You never know. He might come good.
I mean, JJ Redick had a career year last year, so maybe a career year for him as well.
I always thought JJ Redick was underrated in general. I've listened to a few podcasts with him. Seems like a very switched on and very high IQ guy on the court as well as off the court, and a good veteran to plug into a young team like this.
Yeah.
Very team minded, very build your guys up type of thing. It's the perfect sort of player for Simmons and Fultz. He did defend Fultz when he was going through some of those shot problems. He had a blow up at the media and stuff like that. I think underrated coming out of LA to Philly. To me, it wasn't a surprise that he had a great year because I know I watched him in some of those matchups against the Warriors, that he was such coming out of the corner off that curl. You just know it's going down. Like you could look up, see that it's Redick, and you're just like, yep, he's gonna hit this every time. You can put it down. Where there's only a few sort of players that are like that. It's all about making sure that they are buying in to the whole thing, and I think Redick fit in perfectly. But obviously, that's just that unfortunate. He's only 6'4", and if you need a longer defensive or taller defensive lineup, you need to get another guard who's a bit more versatile and a bit better defensively. But every team has that sort of problem.
Yeah.
So I think that's their entire roster. So Shake Milton and Demetrius Jackson on the two ways. Embiid and Johnson playing center, Saric, Muscala, and Bolden at the power forward, Chandler and Covington playing small forward, shooting guard JJ Redick, Furkan Korkmaz, Zaire Smith is injured, and Landry Shamet, and then the point guards Simmons, TJ, McConnell, Fultz, and Jared Bayless. Obviously, I don't think he's going to play many minutes.
No, they'd have to have a very, very deep injury run for him to get minutes this year. So,
and that's kind of a shame. That was maybe a little bit of an anchor on their roster, on their versatility for getting new guys in this season as well.
Yeah, I think that really, it kind of stopped that $20 million man coming because his contract is a bit of a bust. But anyway, so that's kind of Philly. We'll move on to Big Ben. But if you haven't, we did a Ben Simmons kind of wrap up of last year. But I think for this year, it's all about the jump shot.
Yeah.
I think he's not going to take threes. If you'd be, laughing if he does, and it's just not something that he's going to build into his game this early on. I think
I don't to me, how could he shoot threes? Like he's 6'9". He obviously at the level that he's at. You look at someone like LeBron, who is a similar build as him. It's taken him years to develop that outside shot to a level where he can walk up and shoot threes, come off a screen and shoot threes. Like he's not going to develop a step back three or something like that. So to me, I don't mind that he can't shoot. It's just he's got to develop the misdirection and the respect for at least a shot. Or
he's really got to develop that between 12 and 17 foot jump shot, hitting it at least 45 to 50% of the time. because what that's going to do is it's going to bring that defender out and he'll just blow past them. It'll open up more shots, more dunks, more rim finishes per game if he can get his shot to 50%. That's all he needs to do. He just needs to get that defender second guessing himself, saying, I'm not sure what you're going to do. I'm going to come out and then someone's going to cut, because Simmons is a fantastic floor. His floor presence and floor vision is second to none. So I think that's what that does this season. I think that's something he works on this season. Post that, I don't know how much better one gets in other areas such as rebounding or assist factory that he is. I mean, how much more vision do you need? I think he's already proven that he can do that. And if he gets his free throws from 50 to 70%, he goes up for 4 or 5 points a game. And that takes him from the 18 to 23 elite status. That's all he needs to do. And that's exactly what he said. I need to work on getting, a 10 to 17 foot jump shot, and I need to work on my free throws. Get those up to 70%, which is not unreasonable for an NBA player to be able to shoot at. Then, you're going to add between 4 and 8 points a game. What is he at last season? 17-2, I think, per game. It goes up to, 22 to 25 a game. And you're in some pretty good company at that point.
It opens up the floor too. If players know that they can foul him, and if it's a high percentage play to foul Simmons and send him to the line, if he can negate that by hitting his free throws and suddenly making teams respect the fact that he can shoot free throws, I think it'll open up the floor as well, because he's going to be able to start getting to the rim and getting wide open shots. Because players know they can't just foul him or just get right in front of him. And I think part of that series against Boston was they limited him in transition so well. By basically, all right, we're going to just get in the way of you getting to the rim, and basically we know there's nothing else for you.
No, we're just going to sit on the key. You can stay out at the 3, and we'll sit here and wait for you to come. And we're just going to get bodies in front of you. Smart, the Morris,
Morris and Marcus Smart, and even Baines.
Yeah, Baines, Horford. They just got in the way of him, and that's where he got that infamous 1 point game.
Poor bastard.
Yeah, poor bastard. But again, everyone has that bad game.
That meme where it's Wilt Chamberlain with his head on it with the one kills me every time I see it. But obviously, the entire game isn't always about what you do. It's about other aspects of making the defenders.
It's what you make
you're going to do
Yeah.
something. Like it's that one step where you're going left, but really in your mind, you're just making the defender go left because you're going right, because it's in your head to go right, go around, like into a clear lane and put the ball up, lay the ball up, or slam it home. I think if he develops that shot off a screen or some sort of broken action, I think it's going to unlock their offense a lot more too, because earlier in the set, he's going to be able to put up some sort of scoring option, which will mean that, their guys aren't waiting around hoping he puts up a shot or thinking, I need to stay in the corner because what he's going to do, he's going to blow by and I've got to be waiting here. Like, I think it will open him up to be able to move around, as well as Embiid too, because Embiid's post-ups are probably, like, for him, they're a high percentage, but in the grand scheme of things, posting up a lot is like kind of a dying thing that's getting a little bit less effective. Like, he shoots at such a rate that's great, and it's great to watch, and he's such a smooth player, and if he comes out to the three-point line, he can hit a 3 as well, and he can even put the ball on the floor and dunk over everybody. Anyway, so having Ben Simmons be able to shoot is going to make Embiid's life a lot easier, because it just means people can't hard double him. And we've said that before, is like the other thing that Boston did was basically Ben Simmons' man just hard doubles Embiid the entire time.
Yep.
And the Warriors games, Draymond Green, in my opinion, is probably the smartest doubling defender, the smartest timing. Him and Klay Thompson are the smartest timers of double teams that I've seen on the court in a long time. And then watching Boston play, they were doing the same thing, and it was like, you got to watch the way Draymond and Klay defend, and you got to sag off Ben Simmons' guy and then hard double Embiid, and that's the way you stop Embiid. But I think Embiid can go to another level as well. Whether or not Simmons can develop some outside game that spaces the floor a little bit better, I think it's only going to make them a better team.
Oh, yeah. And we don't even know what Fultz brings into the picture. The other thing you got to forget is that at Simmons being 6'10", most guards can't defend him. So he creates a switch. So it's somewhere in their switch play, there is a mismatch.
Mm.
He's always going to create that mismatch for you. So even if he is not taking a lot of shots, bringing that player out is going to create a mismatch somewhere on the field, and that's going to lead to open shots or people gliding past their defender. So I think that's one area we know he has to improve on, and I think we will see a lot of improvement, and more so, it's what we need to see in order for Philly to get to that next step.
Yeah. Defense as well, I think, is going to be another important aspect, because now that they've lost Ilyasova, they're probably one player light on that that really beefy lineup, that beefy defensive lineup. So he's going to have to take a step up and really work on his defense. I think he said as well that he wants to work on his defense as well.
Of course,
because it's an important aspect of.
He's still rated really highly though defensively. He's the only point guard that can guard 1 to the 5.
Yeah, and that's important as well, because if he can create a lot more transition opportunities, that's only going to benefit his game.
Yeah.
And it's only going to benefit Philly as a whole because of the way they play as well. But again, yeah, it's just spacing. It's just making the teams respect that shot and opening up that floor a little bit more, which will be the most important thing. And I think he's got it in his locker, man. He's had that first season where he laid the blanket out and was like, right here, I'm a 20 and 10 guy. I can hit double doubles in my sleep in my first year, my rookie year. Now it's about, okay, I don't need to worry about those flashy stats. Like, obviously he's going to still go for that sort of thing subconsciously, but I think it'll be about just sort of scaling the need to put up the stats.
I think the rebounding will drop. I think that's probably not a necessity this year, but I do think his assists will go up. Just the way he plays with Embiid and plays with Saric, and in general, like he's not a guy looking for assists. He's a guy looking for people to score the ball, and it's very different to like a Westbrook who's literally like an assist farm and just farming for assists.
Yeah.
So naturally, he's 7.7 assists. I think will go up even more. The thing is, it's very smart, and you'll probably see Brett Brown do this. If they're 20 points up at halftime, I don't think Simmons is coming back on the floor for most games. I think he'll hand the reins to Fultz. TJ will come in between as a bit of relief and leave Simmons on the bench, because he knows that he's got other players to develop. Fultz is there to develop as well, either to be that 1-2, two backup second ball handler on the floor. That's Simmons, isomer. The left-hand side, Simmons is the right-hand side. And if that's the case and he's able to develop that, I think, you'll probably have the best front court in the league in terms of vision and ball handling.
Just devastating ability to attack the rim as well.
Yeah.
If he can play with Fultz, if it's Ben Simmons and Fultz 1-2, and they can, Covington at the 3, Saric and Embiid, like, that's going to be a devastating lineup.
Yeah.
It's going to be, and the other part of that too is if Embiid can pass out of the post a little bit more, he loves to score in the post.
It's the kick out. It's the kick out, but it's always kicking out to Simmons, who doesn't take the shot, because Simmons is the guy that's freeing the kick out. So it adds that different dimension.
Yeah.
It's going to be a completely different Philly feel this season if Simmons can hit 50% beyond 10 feet. If that's the case, then, it's going to be a completely different feel. Embiid will get more post-ups. He'll be one-on-one most of the time, and a lot of the time he's not going to get matched in the post. I just think his moves are too great.
They're just too deadly.
Oh, it's just
one dribble and attack the basket. He's just deadly, deadly.
So there's a lot of unknowns, I think, in this. I think when you look at other teams, you're kind of like, yep, they're going to do this. This is what's going to continue. This player's brought this in. I think with Philly, we still don't know what's going to happen.
There's a window of about 4 years still. Covington's 27, Simmons is 22, and Embiid's 24 or 25. Like, 24, there's still time for these guys to develop, and there's still time for them to continue to mold their roster in a way that benefits Simmons, Embiid, Fultz, and obviously Redick's 34. It's probably his last season where he can be that real force Like if he has another career year, it's going to be a huge, huge thing for the franchise.
Mate, Korver's still kicking around at 38.
Yeah, but Korver's also 6'9", and you know, it's a different sort of thing to be a longer athlete than it is like Redick's game is sort of based around his ability to get in between and underneath other defenders, and obviously shoot off that screen. But there's time's on their side. Like everyone's got to be patient. Even with, like I say it all the time with Fultz, it's like, who cares if he can't shoot? Like, relax. He's 19. Like, holy crap.
Yeah.
He's got another 6 years before you can go, right, well, that's a bust then, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like, until he's 25 and it's like, well, he's going to leave the league. Like, he's got time to develop. Simmons is the same. Like, you got to be looking at Simmons going, holy shit, if he develops any kind of outside game.
It's LeBron style.
Out. Like, turn the burners off and take the stove off the pot. It's over.
Could you imagine if like a LeBron Embiid duo at Cleveland? Like it would change the chemistry of that team when you had those two style players. And now imagine that at Philly with a Fultz and a Saric, who I think is one of the best power forwards in the league. In terms of where he is at, this will be his third season in the league. Has the ability to bang down low, has the body, big body, and can shoot the three ball off anything. Very, very underrated power forward.
He enjoys the game too. That's another aspect.
It was the game that they took it back to Boston and they said, fuck it, we're going to play some 80s, 90s basketball where we're not going to shoot the three ball. We know that your perimeter defense is superior. At this point in time, we don't have the length. So we're just going to bang down low and throw it into Saric, throw it into Embiid, and we're going to get into the paint and play old school. Well, that's what won them that game.
And you also got to remember that Embiid was injured for most of that series as well, recovering. He looked a bit short of fitness early in that Miami series, and even getting under his skin a little bit in that Boston series. So, look, I'm a bit worried about their roster depth, but I'm less worried if you take, we must try and make the conference finals this season.
No.
Like if you take that off the table, if you say, oh, well, this team's got about 3 or 4 more years of building to go, that's fine to me. But this season, I can't see them getting to the finals unless some sort of crazy miracle happens. Simmons has a fantastic, 20 and 12 season.
Yeah.
Embiid's putting up 30 a night. Markel Fultz somehow comes in and he's putting up 15 and 8 a night. But to me, that doesn't matter. Like, to me, there's still 2 or 3 years to go, man. There's time. Time is on their side. And even the window of styles converging, like the Warriors style, I think he's going to start to dissipate a little bit over the next couple of seasons. I think they've got a nice versatile mix. Like the Jazz, in my opinion, have got the most versatile roster in the league at the moment.
Yeah.
In terms of like different scoring options, different styles.
And bench depth. I think the problem with the Warriors is you've got the best starting five in the league by a country mile. 2 of those go down and you're playing it around about 50%.
Yeah.
And you've really got no one in the background who is going to be. I mean, they're very well coached, and that happened last year. They obviously didn't win the games that they could have, but they don't care about that because it's all about getting to the finals. And they had plays, return from injury at the right time to obviously win and play a very, very understrength Cleveland in that. So that's the bench depth. I think is really where it's at. I think yes, Utah have probably some of the best bench depth in the league. Boston by far have the best bench depth.
Yeah.
By a country mile, and probably the Raptors at this stage. I think Houston has weakened in their outlook, and you know what? Denver might be the dark horse. We just don't know.
Yeah,
Denver could be that 9 last year. They could be that 4-5 this year.
And then the Lakers, you gotta
Lakers.
see.
But yeah,
it's going to be a crazy season, man.
Yes.
It's going to be, and we'll go through all of that in our over and unders. We'll talk about all of the teams, and we'll give it a bit of a update on all of their rosters and stuff, and talk about the Aussies. And I think we're in for a wild season, but at the same time, I'm not looking for Philly to just be fantastic. Like the season they had last year, to me, was an overachievement and a fantastic achievement at the same time. But to me, if they don't hit that mark again, I'm quite happy to go, okay, there's like next year, like there's another
Yeah.
year to go where, I don't know, the hype train seems to be really in full swing at the
The
moment.
hype train seems to be in full swing, but again, you're going to a lot of unknowns this year, and if they don't come off, there may be a 45. They're 45
that's
team.
fine.
That's
to
fine.
Me, man.
They'll make the conference. They'll make the finals. They'll make the playoffs in a weak division such as the East.
The East. That's the other thing.
They're top four. They even Detroit being Blake Griffin potentially doing something wonderful and Andre Drummond.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. But, they're top four, for my mind, in the East quite easily with the talent they have. But again, it starts soon. We'll know kind of where that ball's rolling and how they're going to play and where it's going to be at.
And that other thing we didn't talk about was that LeBron vacuum leaving the East. I think
it just sets Boston up to be the premier.
Yeah, and that's if you're Philly going into this season, you're looking at this team and going, the window got even wider because LeBron's left. I think the vacuum that him leaving has created has given Boston and Philly and even Toronto and maybe Milwaukee that breathing room at the top to go, right, we can just relax a little bit, duke it out in the East a little bit more. We don't have to worry about LeBron. We don't have to worry that this guy's going back to the finals again. Let's just relax a little bit and play our natural game, which will be important. But the other thing to do with that, I think there's probably 3 or 4 teams, like you're right, Detroit with Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond. Then you've got Washington with John Wall, Bradley Beal, Dwight Howard. I think there might be a LeBron James sort of like an upward suction where that might push some of those teams up a little bit further higher.
Even the
Cleveland.
Hornets. You don't know what the Hornets. Parker with a bit of experience, Kemba Walker being quite. You don't know.
And then Indiana is going to have another good season. Then you got Miami. And then you look at the other teams.
I don't know, for this season, Miami doesn't scrape through, I don't think. I think they had their season last year. I think the guys just a little bit too scrappy.
And they haven't done anything. Like, I was looking at their ins and outs today, and they haven't done anything roster-wise. So
they were lucky to scrape through last season. I one season more older, some of their players, I just don't think that they have the depth and the mix of the right players.
But I think you can comfortably lock in Boston, Philly, Toronto, the Bucks, and the Pacers.
Yeah,
as that top. With Boston, obviously, probably the cherry on top.
Yeah,
of expectation wise.
For me, I think this is Boston's year.
Yeah, it feels like it.
If they don't win this year, I think Kyrie leaves. That's definitely happening. And he'll go wherever Jimmy Butler is. That's kind of the unknown or the known unknown. And that leaves, Hayward and a kind of good team around Hayward, but I think Kyrie's that potential to take on a very, very strong Golden State this year. I think healthy, that's going to be an excellent final series if that does eventuate. But again, we'll see what Kyrie is pretty injury prone. You've just snapped your ankle and you're Gordon Hayward. Are you going to play with the same ferocity, potentially like a Bogan injury? Is it the same thing? So,
see, that's where that vacuum of relaxation gives them all a little bit of we don't need to really redline this season.
No. It gives you 4 easy wins against Cleveland.
Even not even just the regular season wins, like knowing that you're not having to come to the playoffs, having to play him every season.
Yeah.
Is an important part, because I still think Boston could have beat Cleveland last year, and even Indiana could have beat Cleveland. And I think Philly probably would have beaten Cleveland if they had to come up against them. And
I think it's the LeBron factor. In many respects, it's the LeBron psychological factor.
Yeah, and he's gonna even Toronto and Philly's tough. Boston and Toronto's tough. But I still think that him leaving is creating a nice environment for the East to just settle a little bit. And whereas last year you just knew he was coming out of the East every time, and I think a few of these franchises are just going to relax a little bit more, knowing that come playoff time there's going to be nice room to have a nice fight and nice duke it out, knowing that one of these teams is going to go to the finals now.
Yeah,
and that's about it. That's
a wrap. That is a wrap. But
all of our season previews for the Aussies. And if you want to go back and have a look at them, we did Ryan Brokoff and we did a Mitch Creek. Hopefully he makes it to the Nets. It's looking a little bit more unlikely now. Then we did Patty Mills and the Bucks and the Jazz and
the
the
Dengadil.
Celtics and Dengadil possibly making it onto the Raptors. That would be fantastic if he snatched a two-way spot. And then Philly now. So it's going to be a great season, I think. We'll go a bit more in depth in the over-unders and really get deep.
Yep. And we should be coming to you twice a week, regular season, with all the updates and the chatter and game wraps and all that kind of stuff from all the Aussies. So 3 weeks away now. I'm excited.
Yep.
I'm bored batshit not watching the basketball.
Yeah. And you're going to have a little one soon to look after.
I will.
It's going to be fun.
They can watch it with me.
Yeah, they can sit
while
there.
They scream. All right, guys.
Little Ben Simmons onesie.
Indeed.
All right. We'll see you in the next episode.
Peace.
See ya.